The biggest question we get asked is, why is my headache or migraine there? What's the cause of it? What can I do to sort it out? Today, what I want to explain to you is the root underlying cause, according to the new science, about how headache and migraine actually happens in your brain and why it explains why different triggers can actually cause things on one day and not cause things the others. My name's Chris, I'm from the Headache and Pain Management Centre. It's good to have you here this morning on Facebook Live. Good morning, it's good to see everyone joining me again, and hopefully you learned something new about your headaches and migraines. If you stay around to the end, I've actually got a gift for you guys if you would like to take that up. It is all about what I'm talking about today, so stay tuned for that. So the biggest question, as I said, that I get asked is, what is it about headache and migraine? What causes it? What is it all about? So when you get diagnosed with headache and migraine, basically what happens is that it's a label, okay? So when you're talking about migraine, we're talking about a throbbing pain, one side of the head lasting between 3 and 72 hours with an aura or without an aura, with neurological symptoms that can be fully reversible. So it's actually talking to us about what the symptoms are as opposed to what is, what's actually going on inside the brain. And headache's much the same. Now, what the actual research has said the last little while is that it's actually on a continuum, okay? So you can have a headache at this end, migraine at that end, or anything in between. So you can get different types of symptoms on different days when it comes to that. Now, the biggest cause of what happens with headache and migraine is actually what's called a sensitized brainstem. And everyone's like, what is that? So here it is. So there is my little neck model here. So you can see at the back that there's your neck, okay? So all the pretty nerves, that's the back of your neck. If you turn it around to the side, you can see that there's that yellow bit that's coming up the middle. Now that is the bottom of your brain and top of your spinal cord. Now in the middle, in that area, okay, there's an area there that's like a hodgepodge of nerves that all pass through, and effectively it covers all of the nerves from here. If you drew a straight line from the bottom of your jaw across your lips, up and over to the back of the neck. Okay, so anything in that area can cause a pain or a sensation anywhere else in that area. Okay, it also takes some input from your fight or flight response, or there's the poster behind me, the autonomic nervous system. So the vagus nerve in particular goes through that. So all of those different nerves all pass through that area, okay, get processed and then shot to your brain, and your brain has to make a decision. Do I need a headache now or don't I? And good morning, it's good to see everybody there. If you've got a question, please type in below as I'm going. So if you've got all those nerves passing up, or that signal passing up, your brain decides, yep, do I need a headache now or not? And if your brain perceives that those nerves, or the signals coming from those nerves, are perceived as dangerous, then it will give you a headache. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. So that's actually really useful when you've got something like an infection or a hangover, you've been whacked on the head. It's actually quite normal to have a headache under those circumstances, or, a nasty migraine, because it's telling you, hey, there's something wrong, you need to do something about it. Now, this is what happens when you have headache and migraine constantly. Like you have it, a few times a week. You might have, 15 or more migraine days a month. You might have a constant daily headache. And I know you want to hear it, so here it is. So basically what happens in patients with headache and migraine conditions that are there for a long time is that part of the brainstem at the bottom there, it becomes what we call sensitized. Okay, so what that means is that the information being received by that part of your brain from all the nerves from here up and over to there, it's being interpreted as abnormal. So normal input's coming in, but then it's being spat out towards your brain upwards, and your brain thinks it's abnormal. So it becomes more sensitive. So things that shouldn't give you a headache and migraine start to give you one. Okay, so the biggest example that I hear a lot is hormonal headache. Okay, so people, women that have hormonal headaches at that time of the month, and basically having hormonal changes is very normal for women to have. Okay, so serotonin does drop. There's different things that happen in the body, but not every female gets a headache. So what's going on? So what can happen is that brainstem, that part of the brain at the bottom of the brain there, can become sensitized. Okay, so the normal changes in serotonin that drop at that time of the month starts to be interpreted by your brain as abnormal, okay, when it really isn't. It's just a normal thing that happens. And because that's already sensitized, your brain sort of stays out and it goes bang. That's where the headache goes. G'day, Carmelita. I'm looking forward to meeting you later in the week. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking really forward to actually getting to the bottom of it. G'day, Bound. Good to see you there. There's a few here. Type in below. Say hello. You might get a shout out if you put a comment in. So that's what happens there with hormonal headaches. Anna, good morning. It's nice to see you. So when you've actually got these sorts of things going on, say a sensitized brainstem and it's a hormonal type headache, then what happens is the normal change in hormones starts to be interpreted by your brain as abnormal. The same thing happens when you have headaches from other things as well. So if you have half a sip of red wine and you get a cracking great big migraine, it could be because you're allergic to alcohol, but it could also be more because there's something sensitizing your system, so that what happens when you take the alcohol in gets really cranked up high by your brain, so it gives you a headache pretty much straight away. Now, the biggest thing that causes this sensitized brainstem, I'll see if I can get it in the shot. There it is. Yep, there it is there. So when you've actually got a sensitized brainstem, which causes headaches and migraines to happen, is that you've got to find out what's sensitizing it in the first place. Okay, so any number of things can do that, and it can be literally anything from here up and over to the back of the head. G'day, Aaron. Good to see you there from Adelaide, mate. Good to see you joining us. So what happens is that we need to find out what is sensitizing that brainstem in the first place. And the number one culprit that we find, it's the neck that's doing it. Okay, the neck sensitizes the brainstem. And how does it get sensitized? Well, if the neck isn't moving all that great, here's my other model here. So if the neck isn't moving that great, and particularly the top three joints of the neck aren't moving all that crash hot, so number 1, 2, and 3, because they're the joints that go through that system I was talking about. If they're not moving all that great, then your brain can become sensitized to it. So if it's not moving all that great in your neck, then it can sensitize the whole system. So if you've got a stiff neck and then you have half a glass of red wine, whooshka, it's on, okay? But other days, if your neck's moving well, then you have a bit more red wine and then you're actually not that bad. There's a story that we had a patient a number of years ago that was stumping her specialists around the place where they had a car accident, so they'd had a whiplash injury. And then 3 weeks later started getting hormonal headaches for the very first time in her life. And she was 37 years old, so her hormones were stable. So there was no actual change to the hormones whatsoever, but she started getting these hormonal headaches every month. And it took us sort of 18 months to go and see about it because they couldn't work out what was going on. And they put 2 and 2 together and actually realised that she'd had a whiplash accident not 2 or 3 weeks before her first headache came on. But because it was sort of hormonal and it was coming on at the time that her hormones came in, she had a whole battery of tests around the hormonal stuff, and only to find out that it was her neck that was causing all of it in the first place. So it's a really interesting and really intricate area. There's a lot of different things that pass through it, so it can become confusing as to why you're actually getting all these headaches and migraines in the first place. So the important thing to take home is that basically it's a sensitized brainstem that's causing a headache and migraine in most cases. You have to find out what's sensitizing that brainstem. It's usually the neck, but of course it can be all your other nasties as well, so it's really important to get that all checked out. So you find what's actually sensitizing it, and then you work to desensitize the brainstem by doing the things that you need to do to wind down that system. Now, I hope that's been helpful. I know that I sort of talk very fast and there's a lot more information where that came on, and that sort of parlays me beautifully to what I want to offer you. So basically what I've got is I've actually written an ebook about all of this. It's all about the trigeminocervical nucleus. So if you do want some information about what I've just spoken about, it's a really nice ebook. Just type in ebook in the comments below and I can send that out to you via private message when the video finishes. So if you want some more info about that TCN, that part of the brainstem there, we call it the headache hub because it's much easier to remember. Just type in below ebook and it will give us a reminder to actually send you something from there. If there's any other questions, I'm about to log off. So if there's any other questions you'd like me to answer live right now, please type them in below. I'll wait another 30 or 40 seconds and we can get that out to you from there as well. To give you a bit of a heads up, there's a lot of ebooks coming and that's fantastic. So we'll send those as soon as I log off the video here. That's excellent. Type in below if you want it. It's there for you. When you've actually, so a couple of weeks time, not next week, but the week after. It's actually National Headache and Migraine Week. So for that week, every day we actually do a Facebook Live video on a number of different topics. Just having a look there, does it cover occipital neuralgia? Yes, occipital neuralgia, ON. So occipital neuralgia is another one of those diagnoses that can be caused by a sensitized brainstem. So the occipital nerve runs through that system. So we've seen a whole number of different patients with occipital neuralgia that have been a lot more improved or even fixed by treating it the way that we do. So that's a really good question, Anna, because that can help out. Nadine, I'll send you an ebook as well. Thank you for requesting it. So as I was saying, with the National Headache and Migraine Week, you're most welcome, Anna. With the National Migraine and Headache Week in a couple of weeks' time, we're doing a video every single day on different headache and migraine topics. And in fact, I'll actually be in Adelaide later on that week as well, talking about a couple of things too. So stay tuned for that. There could be something exciting, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, coming that week for our great Facebook followers as well. So stay tuned for that. If there's no other questions, I'll log off for now. If there are other questions and you are watching this later on, you can actually tuck in underneath. G'day, Robin. Very good. I'll type an ebook in for you as well. Fantastic. So if you just type in some questions in below about that trigeminocervical nucleus or headache hub sensitization, happy to answer questions for you or start a conversation offline. Yes, it is free. Absolutely, Philippa. So I'll send that through to you because, yes, I spoke to you yesterday. So I'll send that through to you to have a good look. That's why I'm offering it to all of my patients. It's a short little ebook about the what I've just spoken about there and how this headache hub can cause headaches and migraines to happen. Okay, good. It's 9:25, so basically I need to get back to talking to my team, and I will talk to you later next week about another topic to do with headache, migraine or chronic pain. Cheers, and wherever you are in the world, have a great day. Bye for now.